Good morning. This is Anka Metcalf with TradeOutloud.com. Welcome to the pre-market game plan for the major futures indices, gold and oil for today, Tuesday, November 15th. It is 9:05 a.m. Eastern Time, and we're going to begin with the mini Dow Industrial Average that had a decline in the overnight trading session, testing yesterday's low at 23,230 and setting a high in the overnight trading session at 379. Very slight bounce into a 334, creating resistance for current trading session. And also we will be looking at the 23,300 as a possible break to the upside for a possible long and continuation into 378, possibly into 23,400. We do have a lot of overhead resistance from the 200 period moving average on the 1 hour chart. And bottom line is that the battleground is going to be at the 23,300. If we break above it, any pullback to the 23,300 is going to be viable all the way into the 350 area, possibly into the 380s and also into the 23,400 area. But on a break to the downside, we will see at this 300 level as a solid resistance for price action moving south from this point on. And I think that this is the area of the 227, between 227 and 300. This is going to be the area today of focus. If we break below, obviously, 226, we have room to continue lower into 2390. At least that is where the current fib of 23.6% is residing. So we just still have a lot of room to continue to the downside. Keep in mind, we have room to continue beyond 200 and beyond 100. So this may be the start of a more of a pullback than what we have been accustomed to. So we're going to be looking at that level again. We're also very close to triggering a weekly sell, which is pretty serious at this level. And if we get that going, lower levels will be seen. So overall target 23,100 for the mini Dow. Let's take a look at the mini S&P 500. The mini S&P 500, pretty much the same pattern. Overhead resistance from this flat 200 moving average, creating a lot of selling pressure at the 80 zone. 80 zone is going to be seen for us as a barrier. If we break above the 80 area, then yes, we will continue higher. But as long as the price remains below the 80 area, we will short any pullback into and resistance area. So far, 2570 is the new resistance area. And you could observe the reaction. It went exactly to the 270 area, and then it just pulled in once again. So the line in the stand today is going to be between 62 and 70 area. So anything that should be bullish above 70 and have continuation into the 75, possibly into 80, we see it as shortable as of right now for minor time frames. Obviously, after a serious descent that we had in the overnight trading session, Dow was down more than 130 points. Now it's down only 115 points. Keep in mind, once you have an index that is down for a number of points, and a certain percentage, 0.50% is pretty serious at this point, and we were down much more than that. We will expect some sort of a pullback, some sort of calibration that may happen in the New York trading session. All right, so let's move on to Nasdaq. And Nasdaq so far, same. We have the same bias. 6,300 is going to be seen as overhead resistance. We also see it into this mid cluster area, and also we have this flat 200 prices residing below it. We have resistance at 6280, didn't quite make it to 6280, created just a high at 78 and change, and then pulled in again. So the line in the sand today is going to be testing this 55 level, 50 to 55. If we break the 50 to 55, we're going to head lower. And how low are we going to go? Well, the first target is going to be not that far away. It's going to be into the 6240 area, and the next target is going to be 25, followed by 6,200. So yeah, we still have some room to continue to the downside, and those are the following targets. Let's take a look at RTY. We did have a trade, and I did have a trade in the shorting it right here into the close. And we did make a really nice profit on it. It went exactly to our target level of 60 66, 65.50 is where I covered the short. Consolidation through the overnight trading session and continuation lower, and RTY has room to retrace all the way into 1450. 1450 may be the next rotation area for RTY. RTY has been the weakest since it had established the 1518 high, and that was back on October 9th. So it still has room to continue to the downside, like I've mentioned, about 10 points lower from this 1460. So the line in the sand is going to be here today at 1463. The more we reside and more weakness, and the price, if the price is going to get knocked down back to the area where it's trading right now, and if it's going to come in to the 63 area, shorting opportunities may arise on this area. Possible long, swing long. We have been hovering and have been looking for clues in Russell for a possible swing long. We will evaluate same area, the 1485 area, for a possible swing long. We want to see this whole area of resistance cleared out before we take any kind of decisions. Let's take a look at oil for this morning. Very, very flat after a descent very early that happened. In yesterday's session. And okay, sorry about guys. So today is Wednesday, all right, and we had the API oil inventory numbers yesterday, and this drove the price a little lower, following the price is actually stabilizing at this point. It's basing at this 55 level and 55.20 level, and at this point, you know, it still has some room to come into the 54.66 and actually 54.50. A pullback into the 54.50 will be more sustainable for a rotation and possible continuation back to the upside into the 56 area. And that is for the swing perspective. And now for the day trading perspective, if we break above 26, the price can run into 53, and this is going to be one of the first targets that we look at, and 80, 56 once again, and possible correction into the 56.40 area. To the downside, if we break the $55 level, like I've mentioned before, we may come in all the way into this 54.50 area. Not a very good risk to reward the way it is setting up right now, but once again, this is the hourly chart, and we're going to be looking at smaller time frame charts once the open hits. Last but not least, GC. And gold has advanced in the overnight trading session, testing these highs right here of 1290. So it has had a really nice run. Keep in mind, this is we do have it as a swing long, and the next target areas that we're watching are actually into the 1295 area. That is the first target for the swing, 1300 and 1306. These are the targets for this commodity moving higher. So for the day trading perspective, we did have a lot of volatility that kicked in the morning hours at the open. So unless this clears out and it creates some kind of calibration at this point, then we will look and reevaluate. But yes, it does have room to continue higher into the 1295 level. All right, thanks so much. See you in the private Twitter room for more trading ideas, and have a very profitable trading day today. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.